Hello, trading is closed on June 15th, 2017. Last night it was negative. I said the ideal confirmation that this was a false move would be to gap under the low, which we did. I was looking for an early low, a rally attempt in the middle of the day, and a drop late in the day. This isn't as much of a drop as I thought we'd have, but all will be forgiven if we gap down tomorrow, which is not a lock. During the day, MEJT identified this as a false move. Instead, after we went up here, we come back down to this price, which we did. No information about tomorrow. Tomorrow's daily pattern is kind of interesting. There tends to be three highs, one early, one middle, and one late. There are a number of ways this can play out. The commonest way, by far, is to have each high higher than the last one, and we close at the day's high, and failing that, hit a new high when the market reopens in the following day. Next most common, and not really rare, is to have a high, a lower high, fail to undercut the low in between them by very much, and once again rally into the close, with the close at the day's high, and if not, then when the market reopens it hits a high. Far down the list of possibilities is a market where the afternoon high does not surpass the early high, then the drop between them, the low between them, is taken out in style. If that happens, it tends to be a straight line move down, particularly when it happens on a Friday, when people don't normally want to stand in front of a trend before the weekend. So what's it going to be? I think a lot depends on whether or not this high holds early. This is an early low, rally all day, and we closed over the middle of the day high. That's usually positive. But it's not so positive when 5 minutes before the close we were under the middle of the day high. A lot of the times this last 5 minutes is just short covering and isn't a real move. So if we're going to prove this is the real thing, we ideally should have a gap over this high, or at least trade over it promptly. If this is a false move, it should be reversed right at the open by gapping under this low. So we look for a gap outside of this range, and if that doesn't happen, we'll probably close a little changed. Now, what are the odds that we gap up over this? Well, that's what usually happens. Usually the day is a positive day. Futures are already up over this level. If the market were stronger, I think that would be a good possibility, with the target of overtaking the wall of the hole in the wall gap and finding resistance over this level. Once in a while you get just the opposite. What's the case for getting the straight line move down? Rare though it may be. Well, for one thing, my system for calling the dates, the timing system, has the 16th and the 17th. Would make a pretty picture if that were a strong low, but of course the system is still being tested and it has lots of failed moves. If you take this range here and you use your Fibonacci grid, you'll see resistance right at the high. If you take this range here, set at 50%, you get right at the close, so those are strong resistance level. Here's your stilt, here's your stilt, here's your diamond, here's the origin of the left stilt. First it was support, now it's resistance. The first time it's hit, it usually holds. Here's a spike low. These things are broken at some point. It was retested a number of times. When this retest goes under this retest, it's normally a matter of time until this low breaks. And since it's been challenged a number of times, when it breaks, it usually breaks in grand style. So I think the early trade is going to be very helpful to us. If we are going up tomorrow, ideally we should have a gap, or at least an early trade over this high. If we start by gapping down under this low, it's a sign more trouble is coming. If we can't top the early high, and if we undercut the early low in grand style, then a big drop should start. So the early trade's going to give us useful information. Futures are up now. I'm not so certain that's going to hold, but we'll find out at the open. That's today's call.